Gang, it's the Squatch Detective Steve Kulls here. Tonight's show sponsor is Coursera. If you're looking to level up your skills or explore a new field, Coursera has you covered. With more than 7,000 courses from top universities and companies, you can learn anything from data science to business, even psychology, at your own pace. Whether you're aiming to advance your career or just learning for fun, Coursera is the place to be. And the best part? Many courses are free to check out, and if you choose to opt for the monthly plan, you've got a 7-day free trial to see if it fits your needs. And for a limited time, you can save 40% off a year's subscription. Follow the link in the show description to start your new education today.
Welcome to Squatch-D where the truth is first before all else. Join your hosts, veteran investigator, TV personality, and author Steve Kulls, and from the Kentucky Bigfoot Research Project and the Kentucky Fried Fixes channel, Chris Bennett. Sit back and prepare to take yourself on a journey with the longest-running Bigfoot podcast, Squatch-D. Here are your hosts, Steve and Chris.
And good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch-D for today's date, November 10th, 2024. I'm your host, your guide, the Squatch Detective Steve Kulls, along with my co-host right down there. Hello, Mr. Chris.
Steve, man, it's good to see you. Hope everything's going good for you in New York. We've had a lot of nice, rainy, gray weather here lately. Hadn't been real cold, though, but that's okay. It's all right.
Yeah, we've been having those bursts of sunshine, like in the morning, and then it gets cloudy throughout the day.
Yeah, that's it. The gray skies.
So there's a big flurry of activity in the morning.
Yeah.
And then it's a race to get everything in and buttoned up for the afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, we got a fun show tonight. Me looking at some old video. We're gonna go back down a little memory lane, stuff that may have been on one of the older YouTube channels way back in the day, never really on this channel. And it may have been on my old private channel, which I haven't really updated in years. But these are videos, they'll go back to 2011, 2010.
Now, are these going to be in New York?
Absolutely. These are, I often talk about some of the events surrounding the lead up to my sightings.
Right.
And one of the things is, as I'm reviewing some of this older stuff, I'm remembering stuff I've long forgotten. Mm-hmm. So it's some of the stuff, and we're going to have a lot of different little evidence blurbs in there, here and there. You're going to hear some vocals, you're going to hear some noises, you're going to hear some testimony. You're going to by an actual team member having a sighting, and we're going to show some other neat things too along the way. The eye shine pics of 2012, or maybe it was 2011. I don't even remember the year. It's been now. When you get along, for so long, and it's been so long since, this area had such activity, it tends to everything tends to run away.
I just figured out last night that time has gotten away from me.
Yeah, a little bit.
You remember when that series came out on HBO? It was about John Adams.
Yes.
Yeah. And I started watching that series again last night because I figured, it's been 5 or 6 years since that came out. And, I loved it. I watched the series.
It's been 12.
It's been like 5 or 6 years. Oh, 2008. That was in 2008. And I'm sitting here thinking, it was been like 5 or 6 years ago. No, it's like 16 years ago.
Yeah.
So, of course, I was explaining that to my wife that, oh my God, something's going on here. 16 years ago just seems like it was 5 or 6 years ago to me now.
Right. Right. So let's do our roll call in.
Oh yeah.
Real quick before we forget to do that because of our age. But here we go. Let me try to raise this up a little bit because stuff the sound has been kind of wonky on StreamYard lately. So for me.
Up here. Yeah, the chat is hopping.
Yeah. So anyway, first in chat today, Relic Hominin, who will catch us on the replay from over the pond there in the UK. And thank you to Ron Meldrum, who became a new member tonight.
Ron, congratulations, man. Welcome aboard.
Thank you so much. And yep, we're going to be adding stuff to that real quick because, you know, while we're on the roll call, I'm starting a new job Wednesday.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep, I'm getting out of the disability line, going back to work. So back in action. So here we got Pete H also in, Walter Kroll, hello, Karen Fisher, Helton, aka Faster Man, Chris, how you doing? Walter Kroll, good to see you. Danny Weeks, hello, Sandra Piper, hello, Ristel, good evening. Eyes in the Woods, hello. Did we say Danny Weeks already? Yes, we did. Eyes in the Woods, hello, good to see you again. Jen, how are you? Jen. And what a great picture of Baron, her bouncer. Or I should say her office assistant is in there. Bill finding the trackway in the house.
Welcome, Bill.
Kaiju Ninja 1985, good evening to you. Mrs. Trackway, hello. I know you're out there somewhere, Deb. Angel Nolan, hello, Angel. Good to see you. The Susie Monster, hello, Susie. Good to see you. Jeremiah, Bigfoot Society, hello. Yeah, Jeremiah, we have a sponsor, but nobody pays or nobody plays, nobody pay. No, they don't pay. So it's one of those type of sponsors, but we'll call it a sponsor for now. Smedley Do Right, hello. Big loves the Adirondacks. Hello, Smedley. Arthur Watts, good to see you. See it. Deb was in there. Steve Miller, hello, Steve. And Steve, I met earlier, late last month up there at the Troy Public Library when I did the presentation up there. Great guy. Good to see you back, sir. Angel Nolan, if we didn't say that already, which we did. Air Force One. I love it. Who's also a member, Air Force One. I love it.
That's good, man. I love that sense of humor. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. Kick your feet up, make yourself. Kick your feet up, make yourself at home. Timberline Camp and the Beatron also in the house. Danny Staten, good to see you, Danny. In the house as well. Who else we got there? Well, I'm Marty McTighe. Good to see you, Martin. Mike Stanton, hello, and Nikki, Sasquatch Secrets, and we are at the bottom of the list.
Don't forget Mick. Big Cyclone. There we go.
Is he in there somewhere?
He's in there, yeah. He was right between Danny and the Susie Monster.
Ah.
Don't want to forget Mick. And I hope we didn't forget Grasshopper.
I don't see Grasshopper in there, but hello to Grasshopper. I know you're out there lurking.
We're paranoid that we're going to miss him.
And there, and John, there's Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks in the house as well.
John, welcome.
So we got everybody in the house now. Oh, we have an air quality alert for tomorrow.
Oh,
I'm not quite sure.
Are there like wildfires going on in New York now?
There are in the New York, New Jersey border. So,
okay.
I don't know. Considering the winds usually blow west, I don't know how that's affecting us. Even if they blow northwest, it's not going to really affect us all that much. But you never know. So it'll just be one of those chances. We'll have a nice southerly wind tomorrow. It'll be warm but smoky.
Right. Smell like a barbecue outside.
Yeah. So when I started, my trek into this Bigfoot world, I got brought to this particular area in upstate New York and the Adirondacks. And actually, I'll show you a picture of one of my base camps there. This is the area of the main area, I should say. And over years, there's been different videos taken from different angles, and it's been quite a journey. Patty Lindsay is in the house as well. Hello, Patty. Good to see you. And Patty, we can't forget Patty, with her great generosity this weekend.
Yeah, that was great. Thanks, Patty.
So
Grasshopper. There he is.
And
Mike Stetton. Mike. Golly, everybody's still coming in. Welcome.
We already got Mike.
Okay.
So, you know, again, to reiterate, I got there, brought there by a couple who had an escort type of encounter where they were screamed at. They could see it from a distance, moving from tree to tree, and you basically got escorted out of the woods by it following them for a certain distance. Ooh. I thought it was very territorial to begin with, so that led me into this area, and I would go there sporadically from 2000 through 2008. After 2008, I started going up there a little bit more regularly, and that was because I had time. I had time that allowed me to do that. It's amazing how divorce will do that to you.
Well, it looks like this was taken in early spring. You got a lot of foliage there, but it's very young.
I can't even tell you when this particular one was taken. This
I love the bird. Back.
And as you can see, usually that's when at the time I would set my main tent up, and next to it I had my equipment tent. So all the equipment I could just load into that, and that way I could just return back to the camp, pull out what I need instead of having to run all the way to the car and then get that. Not that the car was too far away. But that's generally, and I'm really even not sure where that sits in the camp looking at that picture from now, because things have changed so much. I am assuming that the fire pit's going to be directly to our lower left-hand corner, just off site. And if that's the case, where I had my second sighting was actually going to be to the right of the tent a little bit, because as I exited the tent, I looked to the right, and there the second one was running. But we'll get into all of that in a little bit. So let me get rid of that. So that is the I don't know what is going on with this thing. So that's that. So let's take a look at now in 2010. A lot of things started happening. We started hearing a lot of noises. Things kept circling around us, moving closer, moving back. And we weren't sure what it was, but whatever it was. Hey, and Heather's channel out there from Scotland. Good to see you.
Welcome, Heather. Scotland. All right. Good to know.
So, every time we would move out, things would move in, and there were some sounds recorded in 2010. I'm not going to play those here today, just because I want to start with 2011 going forward. And here's this interesting video. Now, this was about a month before my first sighting. This was in September of 2011. I'm pretty sure this was September of 2011. It may actually have been a week. It may have been the beginning of October. It could have been the beginning of October or the last weekend in September. Pretty sure. And this is before the Sasquatch Calling Festival was taking place. Yeah. So I'm out there with two other researchers. One's videotaping, and I have Sniper Steve, we used to call him, former Marine sniper in the Gulf War. Great outdoors guy, knows his stuff. And we're out doing our thing. And let me start playing the video. So, and I know this is just some real grainy video of what we're doing. Of course, that was the technology back then. That's actually on night vision mode. And there's actually still some daylight, but it was too dark to get anything productive. Now, we kept hearing, things circling our camp throughout the evening. Now, this has got to be, I would say, probably about 6 o'clock in the evening, closer, getting close to 7 o'clock. Again, this is so long ago, and we weren't as quite diligent with recording, field stuff as we are now. This was actually just a year after we had started some of the field team stuff.
Yeah. And at this time, the electronics age was just beginning.
Right. And that is a Sony Night Shot Handycam.
Yeah.
So it had the IR capability. I believe I don't know if this is the digital version. I'm pretty sure this was a digital version, so it worked off a Sony memory stick.
Right.
And this just kind of gives you the idea. And the funny thing is as you're hearing this noise. That noise is actually the camera zooming in and zooming out. That's how bad they were back then with audio. Now we're going to go into exactly what we were hearing picked up by our Zoom H2. So that was just, stuff moving. Now the circling and around the campsite then intensified too. And, this is, mind you, this is an old video and great way of spelling around, Steve.
Still got it.
Anyway, very faint stuff, but it was there.
I can't hardly make it out without headphones, man.
Well, exactly. That's
yeah.
Right. But in the first one, you hear this very low, very weird, odd sounding. I almost think there was some infrasound built into it. To tell you the truth. The second one, you hear the ooh. It was like very, very distinct, not dog-like, anything like that. And these were caught off the H2. The second one was caught after we had left. But the first ones, all this stuff going on, we kept hearing stuff walking around us. So that's why we were spread out.
Still got it?
Yeah. It seems like it's dark on the top, but down below there's something white and it keeps moving.
And now we were working in those days.
Okay, it's 10:30.
In those days, we were working with night vision binoculars, and Sniper Steve started picking stuff off in his binocular, and quite an interesting little event that happened, and he's going to explain.
And about an hour ago, we did a report. We felt like we were being watched. Well, about 45 minutes ago,
45, yeah.
We were doing some thermal work. We kept hearing. Like I said, we kept hearing.
Now, when I say thermal work, let me because it's been a number of years, and I still have that device somewhere. It's called the heat seeker. It's an item that will light up when it hits something warm. So it doesn't have the ability to necessarily project a thermal image, but it can detect thermal images. And when it does, it lights up. And depending on how strong the hit is, the more lights you will get. So I was scanning with this, and it kind of looks like a flashlight, and it's got a laser pointer on it, but I don't always keep it on. And so that is when I say we were doing thermal work. It wasn't we were actually working with FLIR. Back then, FLIRs were quite a rarity, and it was super expensive, thousands of dollars. So here you go.
Hearing this stuff walking around us, doing some thermal work, and directly to the camera's exact back,
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, we got a huge thermal hit on my heat seeker, and I know from using that piece of equipment for the last 4 or 5 years that when you get that kind of reading, it's something big. It's not a raccoon. It's not a bird. It's not. I mean, this sucker, and I swept it there a couple of times. I activated the laser on it, and it definitely was still registering. So we decided to light the area up.
Right.
And
we shined it up, and what I seen, and this is the first time I've ever seen it, a big black animal or whatever moved from the field of vision to the right really quick. Looked like it took a left step and then took off. Because once you reshined the infrared heat seeker,
it was gone.
It was gone. There was no thermal hit no more.
And I saw that large hulking shadow move as well. Definitely pitch black, moved. No facial features, no nothing. It was just, we spotted up and bang, it went. Now the funny thing is that there isn't.
Well, the thing is Steve, Sniper Steve, was actually a lot closer than I was. I was kind of in the center. He was kind of at the edge, and it was right close to him when I started shining the light. And I just saw this shadow move, and he was like, you can see in his face how stunned and like out of it he is from seeing what he's saying.
Actually, an outhouse down in that area, and all night long, when we use the outhouse, something's been creeping around there, and that really where it went down was right to the area that led down to the outhouse, down into the valley where the trail camera is.
Fortunate we have the trail camera.
So hopefully,
a trail camera.
I'm really hoping that we've kind of corralled it into the area where the trail cam is. And if that's the case, then maybe tomorrow we'll actually have something on the trail camera. If not, well, maybe tomorrow night's mission where we'll have a couple other investigators, guest investigators.
And it was my first personal experience, which was pretty amazing.
So there you have it. Yeah, he was pretty blown away by that.
Sniper Steve seemed a little bit unnerved. Like,
yeah, he was. Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
The one talking was almost like in disbelief of what had just happened.
Yep, absolutely. And like then we have a month later when I myself have my own encounter. So here it is.
This was standing right to the right of the telephone pole.
Okay.
And it was standing literally, I'm going to put the bottom edge of the beam, how tall it was off the ground, about there. And I could see the eyes, and then it just turned around. I could just see it move back, and then it turned around up again in there, looking back down this way, and then it turned around again and proceeded.
Yeah, you're never going to cut them off. You're never going to cut them off, Steve. So.
You have Amy and Stacy at the fire.
So there you have that. And that was just a couple of weeks later. At that time, I had my film guy who had the professional grade night vision camera, and I was blessed to have him there to do that. And
much better quality.
Yeah. Well, of course, at the time he was using a $2,000 camera, $3,000 camera.
Right.
With toys and accessories. So that ends up happening quite a bit.
Yeah, that was the thing back in the 2010 era there, we were kind of limited by technology, and what was available was like the best you could get was like Wally World or something.
Right. Yep. Yeah. I forget where I had got my trail cameras, and I may have gotten it from Best Buy or Circuit City, if they were even around that. Now, one of the may have gotten it from Walmart, but you never know. It's just too long ago to remember. So that was that particular year's events, and that was 2011. And like I said, there was so many. Let me show you these pictures as well. Something else that had happened. And this was probably 2012. And this is, you can see picture one where we pick up eye shine right here.
Yeah.
Right.
Little dot there. Yeah.
Right. A little dot. Something is walking side, but if you compare it side by side in the picture, look where it is now.
Right. It moved. Yeah.
And look how tall it is. Now, mind you, this is going downhill as well.
Okay.
So,
and you guys, if you're listening on the podcast, make sure you get over to the YouTube channel so you can see these pictures.
Yes. Yep. And welcome to our new listeners as well, and our new subscribers. But yeah, so the thing is the reason why I started snapping pictures was, of course, we didn't have any night vision. at the time, or at least any that was either charged up or usable, really. I did have one Night Ranger scope, which was horrible. It was a Gen 1, and it was a cheap Gen 1. It was horrible.
Right.
It's still like looking in the dark with a green filter, basically. You may see maybe about 15 feet in front of you. Well, this thing is a good 30 feet in front of us. So I just pulled out my flash camera in the good old days when I had, it was a Samsung 12 megapixel camera, and I just started firing flash photos. And amazingly, this is the pictures that I had gotten, where there was a couple pictures where there were nothing, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, there's eye shine. Oh, it moved in that very next picture. So that was, really an interesting thing, because the reason why we started photographing is because we could hear footsteps, bipedal footsteps. Now, what I think here is the reason why we're only getting one eye is because we're getting a profile shot of it. We're not getting it's not looking directly at us. Right. So I think that's what's going on there. And what we get is a profile shot.
The movement could have been a direct result of the light flash too. It's like, whoa, they know I'm over here. I got to move.
No, it was moving. That's why I started taking a picture, because we were coming down the hill, and I stopped, and we could hear the thing rustling around. I go, that's it. And I just pull my camera, and I'm going to find out what this thing is. Bang, 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 bang. And then, eventually I got the pictures back, to camp, and took a look at them, and like, I think there's something in them. So then I had to get them home, and on the big screen, I was like, holy mackerel, we did get something. And there is some dust on the camera, but that's like these marks here. I mean, it's kind of interesting that we do have another bit of eye shine lower to the ground here. Right. So, but then again, this goes downhill.
Yeah.
So could there have been a couple of them? Because we always thought there was more than one hanging about. So like I said, that's a little, the best I can question is one following the other one, kind of circular, but why only one eye? Even blown up, you can see they're clearly not two eyes. So, because you zoom in, especially you zoom on this one, you're looking at one, circular eye, and it never fails to amaze me. You hear something, and again, the amount of deer in that area that I can count, that I've seen up there while I'm out there, I can count in one hand.
Right.
And
well, with deer, they're going to be kind of lower to the ground too. That looks pretty high up off the ground.
Yeah. Well, exactly. That going downhill, that probably would have been 7 feet off the ground. Mm. And we had also had observed some of the eye shine, that we observed. Like I said, we didn't even observe it necessarily, but there was another event, not that night. It was the night of my sighting, right, that we eventually started walking southwest, where in the direction of, I did that with my ops team too. And we got to the bottom of this hill, and the two female researchers that I was with, I was like, I shined this light over to my right, and I'm going, I didn't realize they put trail markers down there, and then the trail markers moved.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway,
when you took those photos with the flash camera, the eye shine was only visible during that brief, quarter of a second while the flash was lit. So it wouldn't register, in your brain, oh, there's eye shine over there.
Yep. Exactly. Yep. So, and it was just, everybody just stood there. What the, everybody was like shocked at what they had seen.
Right.
At that point, we decided, okay, I know that leads into a swampy type area. If you go any further, it's going to eventually get boggy. So I was like, okay, well, we're going to go back up the hill and back to camp. But that has been generally the direction they've always come from.
Right.
And when you know an area, it gets, it's always up to them. Are they in residence, or because, uh, there was, I'm reading some of the comments too.
Yeah.
It was like one of those slow buildups. And I think in 2010, things started culminating where, hey, there was a younger group of them in there and they were more interested in what we were doing.
Right.
And I remember that night walking down the hill with Ted Veramogianis, and something was paralleling us on both sides of the thing. I go back up. I get my son, Teleson, and his friend both in school for fish and wildlife management. They go walking down there. They come back. I go, so what happened? He goes, I don't know. It's kind of weird. We had things on both sides of the road. Something was walking in the woods following us. And then when we started to go back, it came back with us.
Yeah.
So, they had experienced the same exact thing.
Right. Sound like the hidey behinds.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Very similar to the experiences that John and his wife had, except they got screamed at. A big difference there. So yeah, a couple of years where things were just the octoplatypus.
I don't know. Does a platypus have eye shine?
Well, I understand that, John, but the fact is, field mice don't float. And this thing was quite off the ground, and if you look in the picture, they're quite large. So yeah, this was not anything off, and this was downhill. And if it was up and it was going downhill, that was something large. It wasn't a field mouse because that would have been on the ground. And you can very clearly see that this is nowhere near the ground. Field mice would have been. So, yeah. And remember, I'm not the type of person that looks at evidence and says, oh, that's got to be real because it's mine, like so many people do.
Any chance that could have been an owl?
No.
Yeah, owls are pretty. Yeah, you can see their eye shine is pretty good.
No. And then the reason being is that they have multicolors. They also have some white in them as well. And we didn't hear fluttering, and we didn't hear owls at the time. Owls come and go, and that night, in fact, that particular night, we hardly heard owls at all, if any. Okay, so let me stop you right there, John. That is not on a tree branch. I'm sorry, you're wrong. We've already attested it. That is not on a tree branch. We walked it down there and saw the disturbed leaves.
Given some situations, that's possible.
Right.
I could very well see a mouse running on a tree branch.
But how would that explain the leaf litter going?
Yeah, it wouldn't. Exactly.
That was not a mouse, walking on a tree.
Yeah, the reasons you took these photos was because you were hearing movement in that area. That's
right.
That's what
you understand. You understand, John. I have looked at the possibilities, so I can rule it out because I have looked at it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be presenting it. And that's what people don't understand.
The story.
Right.
Concentrate on the story. Why was Steve taking pictures there? Well, because he heard movement over there.
We heard because I had those same two researchers with me that night as well.
Yeah.
And we have video supporting that too. There's other videos where we're all hearing stuff, but that gets kind of boring when we have a video that constantly a video that constantly just talks about hearing things, and really the mics, the cameras of the day, du jour, did not have that range, and and the problem is when you put an H2 out, and we're all moving about. Excuse me, I don't know what is going on. It got very stuffy in here all of a sudden.
Get you a drink, Steve.
Yeah, well,
okay.
That's the problem. I've been drinking, but it hasn't been helping.
Mick says it was the whippoorwill that's been stalking Steve for the past couple of decades.
No, and the funny thing is I didn't hear a whippoorwill until I went to Kentucky. So, and that was in 2021. So, sorry, it's not the stalking whippoorwill.
And usually I'll apologize for that, because usually our whippoorwills are very well mannered, and usually they only make noise around sun up or sundown. During the night they're normally quiet. And
the other curious thing too is that it's hard to tell in this picture, but that is in the originals. If you look at the original pictures, because this is somewhat, and I got to find those. I mean, this is decades old, and mind you, that I'm very blessed that those pictures have survived. How many computer crashes since 2011? I mean, I had a computer crash in 2013.
Yeah. We know that. We know that.
yeah, John. I know you're not arguing me. I'm just saying that, and I know to provide options. This stuff you're looking at is not yesterday's material. This stuff is over a decade old, and we have been through the gambit of that. And again, I don't release evidence unless it's been vetted, and it's been, usually it takes a month or two. Luckily, due to some programs for audio stuff, I can get audio out there a lot quicker than I can, because then I can run it through some bird call stuff and some other analysis to see if it's a known animal. So that process can be actually quite quick. But this stuff, these pictures, these pictures were taken in, I believe these were taken in 2011 as well. They may have been 2012, but in that same area. This is all, these are all stuff out of the same area, stuff you're going to be seeing. I got to say that, it was a few years before we actually put those out, because I wanted to make sure, and I sent it to a few other people as well that I knew in the field, and they're like, no, yep. And we kind of ruled a lot of things out. Of course, my big concern was it a deer, and the fact is that no, not really, because deer will turn their heads quite a bit, and we didn't see any deer, we didn't hear it. We heard something walking bipedally, so that in of itself, that with our experience of how it was walking kind of leads us to suspect that.
Oh, man. And deer are pesky little critters too at night, because especially a doe, if she can't see you, but she thinks you're there, she'll do things like blow, snort.
Oh, yeah.
They'll stomp the ground a little bit with their little deer feet.
Right. And, like I said, I've seen deer once in that particular elevation once.
Yeah.
I usually see them at the lower elevations as I'm going out of the area or coming in. But rarely do I see deer at that elevation. Just one morning I got up out of my tent and there was a deer not 30 feet from me, just enjoying the leaves on a tree.
Right.
And, and I just...
Earlier, there was a question in the chat, and I know you don't want to put a thumbtack fine tooth comb on that area, but could you tell it, everybody, was it the north, south, east, or west area of the park? Well,
let's just say this. It was part of the Adirondacks that's very close to Whitehall, New York.
Okay.
And Whitehall, New York, of course, is the Bigfoot capital of New York.
That would make sense.
Yeah. Right. We're probably talking about 8 to 12 miles overall.
Well, that's narrowing it down pretty.
Yeah, that's narrowing it pretty good. Did we hear any wood knocks? Yes, we did. I actually have one recorded, but it was the way I put audio together 15 years ago, and the editing software I had back then wasn't as good, and it was really I wasn't gonna a wood knock's a wood knock. So yes, but we were hearing an occasional wood knock or two. In one particular time, we actually heard 3 wood knocks in a rapid succession. One of the few times that's actually happened. Usually, I just hear a single one. And we were all accounted for, mind you. We always had radios on us. If I play that that video of my thing, you can hear us chit chatting on the radio. We all know when we're doing calls and wood knocks and stuff like that.
Right. Very important to maintain good communication when you got a team out there.
Right. Yeah. So you want to make sure, and that was the thing. We had 3 operations team and a base camp team. And, one team would go one way, another team would go another, and we would all be in contact. And I would kind of float between the teams. And that would be my thing is, okay, I'm going to go out with team A. Okay, I'm out with them for a while. Okay, while you guys hunker down, I'm going to go find team B. And I, make my way to team B and then make my way to team C and then make my way back to base camp. And I would go, no, this was actually after Monster Quest. Kaiju Ninja asked if this was before. Monster Quest was shot in 2008. This is 4 years later, or 3 years later, rather. And when we shot the Monster Quest, we did get a vocalization back on one of our calls. And just like we had done back in September of 2023, we had gotten, when we had the group up there with Alex Petikoff, we had actually gotten that call back. Again, this is the same area that, we had. Let me see if I still have that up there.
Well, Mick's got a question here. It says, a question for all. What do you suppose would happen if you simply walked toward the eye shine? At that time, I don't think they saw it, Mick. It was
no. We were dark. We were completely dark, and we had heard this, so I just said, all right, let's move down. We kept hearing this shit come in and closer, and every time we move in, it would move off. And that's exactly what that one did, is it was moving off. The same as it did when we did see the eye shine. We put the light on it, and there's the eye shine at us. And then it just turned and left. And it turned in unison. It was like that. I mean,
there wasn't time. It didn't just stand there and wait for you to walk up on it, right?
Correct. And then again, I don't carry firearms. I carry, paramedics. And at that time, and like I said, you're looking at something, you're trying to make it out and going, what? That particular time we actually saw the eye shine. Now, mind you, other people throughout the night were seeing eye shine as well. That's also on this long video. Like I said, it's not exciting. And see, here's the thing. People like to see stuff and people get excited. This is stuff that, okay, there's people pointing in the woods saying they're seeing eye shine. I mean, what can you do with that? There's a lot of channels out there that show that kind of stuff. And, there was even a video where, you hear something fall, me back up. And I said, shit, something just threw a rock at me. And that also had happened as well on the night that I had my sighting. And they were playful like that too, the rock throwing it. And we would get rock throws when the camp was empty. That happened in 2013. The fruit goes out and just boom into the camp. The rock went. It was a relatively quiet night that night too. And not at all that we got up. And of course, when we got up, that ruined it. If we had just sat there, maybe something would have walked on it. But then I realized afterwards what it was looking for was the reaction to see if something was in camp. And then we had that 2010 audio where you hear something kind of, mushing around, getting closer to the camera, right? Because we're not in the camp at that time, right? But we were...
Mick's question got me to thinking, Steve. I mean, if you do have a sighting, do you think it's wise to walk toward the creature, to walk up on it, day or night?
It's gonna move anyway. It's gonna leave.
Right.
My strategy then was to stay as possibly still together. And then all I did was kind of shake the light a little bit to see what it did. And then it just walked into the woods.
Right.
So, okay. So Aaron says lots of black bears in the Adirondack. However, not in that part of the Adirondack. There's a few, but I have been up there for 25 years yet to see a black bear on at all.
Yikes.
Right?
I don't like bears. No.
I've camped up there. You know, if you were cumulatively over the last 25 years, cumulatively put the number of times I've camped up there, you know, if you would put it into a line, would probably be about 3-4 months. Never have had a bear ever. Never even hid my food in camp. You know, I didn't hang my food up in camp.
I saw the photo with the tents that had like 2 coolers sitting on the ground.
Yeah, and that's where they stayed. Because we don't have bear out that way. And then you get to even higher elevations, then you start getting the bears. But you know, the bears are more northerly to that part of the park.
Pete H, good question. Any smell? Did you notice any smells?
Okay, so the only time I've ever smelled anything was in 2006, and that's when we heard walking around us. And then what happens is we got the Fort Ann cast. That's when I got the track.
Yeah.
So well,
I'm checking out the questions in chat, Steve.
You're absolutely right, Bill. But when we recorded the bear there, that was not in the area of where we're talking about. You got to remember, there's different little pockets, and for whatever reason, there's just not enough bear out there to bother us. And plus, you know, a bear isn't 7 foot tall. A bear isn't 8 foot tall.
What does it smell like, Steve?
Death, garbage, skunk, wet dog, musk, all rolled up into one. It is something that the minute you smelled it. Now, again, I always say this. I was a paramedic. I have been to scenes to put monitors on people that have been dead for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Right.
When you walk into that house, you know what death smells like.
Yes.
It smells worse than that.
Right.
Yeah. Now, that leads me to believe that the smell we're actually smelling now could actually be from a form of apocrine gland similar to that of what a gorilla has. Brian Will says, so like Pittsburgh on a Saturday night. Brian, we love our friends in Pittsburgh.
We love Pittsburgh.
Maybe San Francisco.
They've got a definitely.
I know Menlo Park smells like that because of a certain person that lives out there.
Yeah, Mick. Mick said not all Sasquatch emit strong odors all the
time.
That's true.
Correct. I've the 2 I've seen. I didn't smell a thing.
Some sightings will report no odor whatsoever.
It depends, I guess, on the level of stress. Now you think about what was going on in each one of the sightings and why we didn't smell one. Well, we had 5 guys lined up over a spread of about 30 feet in a line, making calls, knocking on trees, moving around stealthily. And this guy was walking around us, kind of flanking us to our left flank, coming from behind us from about 7 o'clock, moving to our 11 o'clock. And yeah, it emitted a really strong odor because I think the number of people out there were stressed out. The times that I had seen it where it was just me and myself, or me and one other person, and there wasn't really a crowd full of people or a crowd of people, in the vicinity of it. the answer to that would be maybe that's why they didn't emit an odor or let their glands go off. Maybe this one just stunk. I don't know. But to me, it was so strong. Yeah, I mean, it was like, all right, you know how some smells, they go, they started a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This thing was a 10, and then it disappeared to a 0. So it wasn't there. Boom, there it was while we're hearing this footfalls walking around us. And we get hit with that smell. That's why we started walking down to where we had heard the noise, and that's why we found the track. And we also wanted to get our night equipment too, because dusk had fallen. We had gone in on daylight by the time that was, and this was mid-November.
Right.
So, matter of fact, in 6 days, that will be, it'll be almost 18 years since we got that cast. And that's amazing to think that was 18 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where does the time go? Chris and I were talking about that earlier.
It's been, yeah.
Oh, Jen, gotcha. Yeah. But yeah, it's still a good point to mention that there are no bear in that area. And some people do say bear have like this musky scent to them, but this was no bear. I mean, this was rank. And like I said, the scent didn't just fade away. It just like disappeared. Which is kind of bizarre because skunks don't even have that ability. Skunks, their smell, they spray and they'll linger and linger and linger and linger. This didn't. This moved with whatever was moving along the trail. So that is something I will never forget. I saw a question, did I ever get hit with infrasound? I believe I did. And again, similar to Chris, at one time, I think I've gotten hit by infrasound a couple of times up there. Once very early on, because I remember going up the trails and moving around and looking around for, a John sighting the first time he had, him and his wife had been up there. And this was like less than a month after it happened, maybe 2 months. Within a month or two, let me put it to that, because I'm thinking it was kind of it was an August day. So I was up there in the summertime. It was buggy. It was plenty of leaves. And as I was moving up there, I got to a certain point where I go, getting kind of creeped out. I think I'm going to walk out and leave. And I did. The second time was probably again in 2011. And I was up there with one other person and we got to a certain point and all of a sudden we both got feeling like, man, it feels kind of creepy out here. Nothing. I mean, everything was dead quiet. And then I got that ear flutter. I got an ear flutter. I got the feeling I was being watched. I got the feeling like, I better get out of here. And that's what I did.
Right.
So I have,
in the area I was researching in 2010, I got hit with that. And sometimes it was prior to the sighting.
Right.
And after that first time, when I realized what it was, because of Tommy smacking his ear at the same time, then I started paying attention. Like I would be walking in the woods at another time, and then all of a sudden I would get that flutter, and I was like, "Uh-oh, wait a minute!"
Right.
And I would stop and start looking around, and sure enough, hey,
yeah,
I've got an audience over there,
Yep. There's Smedley said if lions give off infrasound, cool. which they do. I experienced it at a zoo with an agitated lion that roar got me. I had to leave it. Yeah. Do you ever listen to, some lion roars? They are very disturbing when you hear them, and especially when they get angry. It's like, oh, it just automatically puts you on alert.
Yeah. Oh, Jay Carey. Yeah. An acquaintance of mine had the same thing happen in the high Sierras. The gagging smell followed them. Then it got mad and it all quit when they turned around. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I really, and it was windy that night too. And I think that had the wind not been blowing and had been kind of more, the wind was more still, I think the smell would have been even stronger.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, like I said, usually when things brings in, it's a kind of a gradual build as it gets closer. But this thing was like, bang. And then, bang, it was like something turned it off.
Right.
And you can't You know, it was.
I'm
still.
They probably all have a natural scent, you know, but some of the sightings where the wind is blowing away from the people, you know, they're not getting that. But I don't think it's probably a overpowering natural scent. It's probably something like a wet dog, you know.
Right. Yeah. But, no, I mean, if anything, the worst. It smelled like death. The strongest smell was the death and the skunk smell. Yes. There were some underlying tones of musk, underlying tones of wet dog, but the major smell was death and skunk wrapped into one.
That's why I tend to agree with your theory about the glands secreting something. It's there a possibility. That death smell, rotting meat smell, that will gag you. Yeah, I think that's highly likely.
I think Bill is writing us some lyrics here, Trackway. So you're walking in the rain, snow, and it's just no place to go, and it feels like your inner ears are flutter, and you're hoping for a Sasquatch in the rain, and it's another, maybe another, I don't know.
Well, I can't say about anywhere else in the United States, but if you're walking in the woods in Kentucky and one of your ears or the other one starts to flutter like there's a hummingbird trying to land in your ear, stop and look around.
Yeah, it was the last time. I mean, I'll never forget what that felt like, but that was the last time that's ever happened to me. Mm-hmm. It was almost, you know. So Kaiju says, I was like today, smelled the skunk smelling. I guess it could have been a skunk, not sure. To me, if it smells like a skunk and nothing else, it's a skunk.
Skunk, yeah.
Right? Like I said, the first scent I got was this death-like smell, then a skunk, then all the other little flavors in it, and more death, and then gone. I mean, it was like, what the hell? I mean, you know, people have described it as smelling like garbage. Very close, too. You know?
Well,
and Mary Roller just snuck in. Hello, Mary. Good to see you.
Okay.
Long time friend. We've been out on her property a few times up in Chautauqua Lake. And a great property. We had gotten a cast actually out of there back in, I want to say 2017.
Yes.
So not too.
Oh, yes, Mary. Thank you, veterans. That's right. Tomorrow is Veterans Day. So thank you to all our veterans. We appreciate you guys. By guys, I mean guys and girls.
Right. So yeah, very interesting gathering. Now here's some other photos. Remember, I often talk about my second sighting, and that's the one where I unzip the tent, I peek my head out, and I look over, and there's the 5.5 foot juvenile, and it's in the process of taking off and getting out of Dodge. Again, no smell. Despite it was stressed, there was no smell. And then the next morning, I get awoken, and this is the actual log behind the Jeep. And like I said, that night he went out to his Jeep to get his pillow and blanket, and he would have tripped over that. So, very interesting how that. Yeah, very, very, very interesting. And of course, the next day, and you can see how overcast it always was. The only time we saw sunlight was our last day there, of course.
Yeah.
But Wayne and Melissa thought they had observed something watching them from behind a tree and then dart away. So there is Wayne with the thermal, scanning hard. And, there is Jeff, Gatto, actually, we're trying to get a beat on. Of course, nobody moved. Later on, Jeff would go on walkabout on his last day during the sunny day, and he went deep into the woods, and he encountered an area where he started getting growled at. Now, just to clarify, bears do not growl, because bears do not have the vocal cords to growl as does like a dog or etc. So could it have been a coyote? Possibly. But Jeff kind of feels that he would have kind of recognized it from it. It was more of a deep type of growl than it was like a coyote type of growl.
Yeah. And
Look who the cat dragged in. Hello, Pat. Good to see you.
Collins, welcome, Pat. The coyotes in Kentucky don't hang around, and they won't get close to you. They know.
No. And that's another thing. We've heard a lot of coyotes up there, but have never actually observed any. And maybe once out of every 5 or 6 visits do I hear coyotes. So that's not even a constant. Of course, Melissa ends up finding there you have a smaller track. I think it measured out to be 7 inches by, I think actually 9 inches, but because I think she was considering that this was part of the foot as well, and it just kind of pushed into the branch. And it was rather wide too. It was about 4 inches wide. So that is, in itself, is a disproportionate foot. No ball of the foot, no mid-tarsal, arch. So yeah, that was a very interesting little find too. They found that was in the area, just going in the opposite direction. I saw mine going the other way. This is going towards the top of the screen, direct. Where I saw it running, it was actually running in the direction where the bottom of the screen was.
Okay. No claw marks, correct?
Yeah. Hang on.
I'm big.
I don't know why this is deciding to do it today. That's why I kind of like StreamYard's coming out with the new thing called Scenes. So all I have to do is just put a picture up there and go to it. I don't have to keep dealing with this and that, because it was one of the complaints about people. You got to kind of like work the board like a friggin' DJ to make things work. And so that is
I just wanted to clarify that Steve had checked that print to make sure there were not claw marks in it and it wasn't a bear before.
Right. Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, there are timberline camps. Do I do any call blasting? I do occasionally, but I use a couple of things when I first get there, and then this has been one of the most effective ways is when I get there. Yeah, well, PA does have some, but I know this was in the middle of the daytime, so the likelihood of it being a raccoon is kind of on the slim side. Because you don't see raccoons very often during the daylight hours, especially in mid afternoon or afternoon. They're generally sleeping then. You do tend to see them around, the late afternoon, early evening hours when it's sunny out because they're up and about now. So you have to consider that as well. But I generally can tell a raccoon, chatter or growl versus something like that. I'm not a flatlander. I've been around raccoons that have growled. I've been around rabid raccoons too, as a matter of fact, years ago. So it's like, this is not all new to me. I've been around animals. I've been in those woods, working the land, tracking, all of that fun stuff. So, I do speak with some experience behind me.
Well, some people, use call blasting, and if they go out in the area at night or something.
So, Chris says, could have been a wolf. I know there are no wolves around these, unless you're talking about Bill's case. But yeah, they're definitely not a wolf in our area. No.
Yeah, I don't do any call blasting because I don't go out at night. I can't see in the dark.
But yes, I do occasionally will. I do occasionally will call blast, depending on the circumstance. And I have some of the Sierra sounds on there. I have the Bellwether audio. I have a few others that I will blast out. See when, and I have some baby cries on there too. See if they will. But you know how much. results I've had with call blasting is zero.
Yep.
Zero. But the most effective way I've done is when I arrive on the scene, I knock a tree a couple of times and I whoop a couple of times and then I yell out to them, I'm here, guys. Because over time, primates will recognize your voice, recognize your patterns. And when they realize you're not a threat, then maybe they'll be a little more sociable. And like I said, from 2000 to 2010, I would do that every time I would go up there. And then all of a sudden in 2010, things started to happen.
Yeah.
And I was quiet I didn't do that in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. But all of a sudden, when I do it in 2023 for the first time in how many years, what happens? We get a vocalization back.
Right.
You know. So
I believe they do have a good memory. I do believe that.
Right. Well, yeah, it would show because, other primates, gorillas, chimpanzees, heck, lions, tigers, dogs, they all remember. They have these memories of their owners. Lions who get raised as cubs by these people return to the jungle after 10 years now that they're adults, and these lions will come up to them like they're part of their pack. Right? So.
Wouldn't recommend that.
Bill, you know what, though? I bet you if that was a raccoon, you probably would have caught it on thermal. They're not very fast. As are possums. I've seen a possum and had the time to get my thermal, fire it up, and go, okay, now I got the possum. Same thing with
Barry said, my raccoon hisses at me if I get too close, hangs out with the cats. Yeah, sometime in 1999, I think it was, I was going deer hunting, walked across the field on the old farm there.
Let me say this too, but I did get your email. I'll respond to that tomorrow. It's been kind of a little bit of a busy day for me. I got some stuff I got to do tomorrow too, but I'll respond to your email and I'll give you my thoughts. So the video he sent me. So he's got some stuff, very interesting stuff. So I'll give him my thoughts on it.
And anyway, I was walking across the field about 4 a.m. in the dark, getting ready to go out early morning deer hunting. And I stepped on something, which, you can tell when you step on an animal. I stepped on an animal of some sort, and this thing started going, boy, it was really, doing bad. I had stepped on a possum, and I don't mind telling you, it scared me to death because at first I didn't know what I had stepped on. Something's going to get me. What's going on here? And it was a possum. Well, those things will do bad if you step on them. I found that out.
Well, the amazing thing, did it bite you?
Oh, no.
Do you know why?
No, I don't.
Possums don't bite.
Well, I know he was showing his teeth.
Yeah, they play dead. They'll show their teeth, hiss and stomp, but they don't bite.
Yeah, well,
they don't bite.
He scared me to death. Right up to the point where I realized what it was, and I was like, it's a stupid possum.
Same. Now, Steve asked me, any thoughts on the recent Voyager overland footage? I have no idea what that is. Oh, let me give you one other update. Too. Our friend from the who had the sighting in the High Sierras that we used this video, and he was in chat with us to answer questions. And you there, Chris?
I'm listening, baby.
Okay. Yeah.
Overland footage while you're talking.
Yeah. When you turn your head away, sometimes your mic doesn't pick you up. Just to let you know that.
Okay.
But if you want to add that to the queue, or if we can, if it's not heavily copyrighted.
Yeah. I'm trying to locate it.
So, he cut another video a couple of days ago. Or a few weeks ago.
No, I'm not even going to look at that.
Okay. Enough said.
Yeah. It's located on a Big Rock Candy Mountain.
Right. So our friend cut another video on his channel, and he went back to the area where his sighting was. And he filmed it for everybody, and he walked down the hill a bit. he was carrying his firearm, but it was holstered. But he went and walked around and filmed and talked about it, and basically said he's no longer afraid of it.
Right.
He's at peace with it. And that he now feels that it was, special, and that, a very beautiful ending to the video. So I gotta shoot him a message tomorrow too, just telling him, commending him that, I thought his last video was spot on, beautiful. There's a guy that literally was showing you everywhere around the site, how he was parked, showed his vehicle on the video and everything, and talked it out. Good for him, man. See, that's what a legitimate friggin' witness does.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna watch that immediately after the show because I like that sort of thing.
Yep.
What a credible encounter! What a credible encounter!
He's talking about his own feelings about things and talking about the area and stuff. And he's just a down to earth guy. He's just trying to figure it out. And to him, it's an animal like anything else.
Right.
And he's like, to him, it was kind of amazing to him because it kind of shows the interaction we have with other animals, no matter whether they're, any known animal or a Bigfoot. So he thought, it was a really beautiful way of ending the video. And now I think he feels kind of blessed that he had that encounter rather than a curse. So that's always good to hear.
It was not a pleasant experience for him by any means, and I don't think it would have been a pleasant experience for anyone with the same situations. But I'm glad he was able to.
Oh, was that Voyager one? Was that where the guy was traveling out in Canada? Okay, the Voyager, is that where he had the van and it was around the van? Chris,
I don't know. I didn't look.
Oh.
I found it on that one channel, and I didn't even open it up.
Oh, that one channel. Yep.
I don't go to that channel.
Nope.
Not even for a view. No.
Okay, Steve Mill said, yeah, that is, he tries to claim it's something paranormal, possibly. It's some sort of exposure gag or an app gag. It's nothing that, yeah, he had a Voyager van or something like that, so that's why they call it the Voyager video. I don't know. It's not even a Bigfoot video, and nor does he say it's a Bigfoot video. To tell you the truth, he says I catch something paranormal. So if some other channel is carrying that, trying to pass it off as a Sasquatch, typical. They are, it wasn't even claimed to be a Sasquatch or a sauce squatch.
Well, I've noticed
Sasquatch.
I don't want to get off the subject and onto the paranormal thing, but I've noticed a lot of the footage that we see from cameras that uses Wi-Fi to connect, that maybe have missing sections where the Wi-Fi kind of faded out at a certain point. People try to play that off as, oh, look, it's a ghost, or a bug walking on the camera lens, no.
Yeah. And this time of year, we get a lot of trail camera folks, seeing a leaf falling from a tree or something, and it catches the strange angle and the glare of the IR flash, and they say it's something that it's not. So, all of this is now while we're on a very interesting topic.
Pat Collins. Oh, Pat.
Bad boys.
Bad boy.
And of course, it's not here. Pardon my French. So go ahead, Chris, talk up. I'm going to try to load this video a second time.
Well, okay. Scroll button.
Wow. Okay.
I've seen a lot of these game cams that have like a bear walking by or something. It's Bigfoot.
I wouldn't call StreamYard necessarily glitchy, although it's told me a few times tonight that I have, I have an unstable bandwidth connection. Well, really? I do? No, I don't.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
No, that's not unstable. No.
And that's while I was connected to StreamYard.
And you're hardwired, right? You're hardwired to your router,
correct.
right?
Right.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. So let's look. And of course, then there was the, well, that was Vermont. So I'm not going to play those audio excerpts from Vermont, because I played them before. Yeah, there was a lot of other audios caught, free knock audios and some whooping audios, but we've played whoop audios before from that same area that are a hell of a lot recent. But I do have this video. This, I think, is circa 2016, 2015, 2016, 2017, somewhere in there. Here we go.
There's Mike trying his best to get the fire going. Good job, Mike. Mike is going to manage to burn all the tents down before he gets that fire going. Stray spark hits one of the tents. Poof. Up like a tinderbox.
We'll see a Squatch on fire.
See a Squatch. Hey, I think we got something.
I think so too.
But how long? I don't know.
For how long? I don't know.
That's hilarious. But it's a good point. Even with a military grade fire starter, which I'm sure that's what Mike had a hold of, it's not easy. It's not easy.
No, it was kind of fun. It's always fun. Mike starts doing these little survivalist things, and I always, between the cookie video and then there was the beach ball video, and then there was a video that I posted way back. I think it was 2015.
Yeah.
And I got to find that video where I was just walking around the camp. Everybody was eating dinner, and I was just roasting everybody. And,
it's good to know how to make a fire with two sticks. Okay. It's good to know that. But I was explaining to my boys here a while back. I said, well, if you ever tried to create fire with a couple of sticks there, first thing I want you to do, just watch that Forrest Gump movie, the one where he's like trapped on the deserted island there and he's trying to build a fire. Then you'll get an idea how frustrating it is to try to create a fire without the benefit of a lighter or a match. It ain't easy. It ain't easy.
Yeah, I keep here. I keep.
Yeah, grasshopper. I think that's smart. Yeah.
Yeah, myself as well. I actually juice about 2 to 3 Zippos every time I go. One for my smoking needs and one for my camping needs.
Right.
And then I also have a fire starter, and I also have 3 boxes of matches because what happens is I have this toolbox I can roll. It rolls on wheels.
Yeah.
And it's all plastic. It's not a metal toolbox. And that is all my camping gear in, my first aid gear, my camping gear, my mess kits, some other things, batteries, clips, anything you need, pest remover, the bug spray.
Yeah.
So I carry that gets lifted into the Bronco when it's done, and then it gets transported, and then that box goes into my tent, and there's my whole, because I have a big tent. I'm not going to lie. I have tent Mahal. I have, instead of Taj Mahal, I have tent Mahal, and I use an 8-man tent, and I'm the only one that sleeps in it. I bring my cot because I'm too flippin' old to be on the ground anymore.
Well,
especially with rocks, and especially with neck problems and back problems and all that fun stuff I have now at my older age.
I don't care how blue the ground is, I can always find a rock to lay on somewhere. Right. It never fails.
Right. And our buddy Chuck is in the house. Good afternoon, Chuck.
Good to see you.
So,
yeah. All the survivalists need to practice building fires with natural material.
Right. So, absolutely that you want to have all those, when I camp, I try to bring as much. Like when I went down to Kentucky, you saw the stuff I had in my Bronco. I had the toolbox with me. I had the field laptop with me. I had to carry my other laptop because I was doing a presentation.
He had everything but a microwave, so I'm not too certain that was really camping.
Well, I didn't. Well, wait, whoa. You noticed that? Well, because they had sponsored meals there every night. Yeah, okay. Right. Yeah, you're kind of right there.
Well, you didn't need the microwave, right?
Yeah, and considering my tent was like 30 feet to the road, it was
Plus you had your own power station and things of that nature.
Kind of like I brought my own hotel room.
The conveniences, right? The convenience of the city living in the woods.
That's right. That's true. Because truthfully, I could walk out of the tent, walk about 30 feet, and there was a water fountain.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yep. So that was that was a lot of fun that trip too out in Kentucky. But yeah, usually, like when you see this picture, there ain't nothing there. There's an outhouse. That's way on the other side. When I mean outhouse, your ass can get splinters.
Yeah.
Have
you seen those inflatable tents? They've got these inflatable tents now. You just throw it out there on the ground and start pumping it up or whatever, airing it up, and then voila, you have a,
Well, you know what I'm worried about?
I
don't want to be the same folks that go up in the air like the bouncy house if you don't secure it. Look, there's a tent in the air and Steve's in it.
That might be kind of scary, yeah.
But then again, I put so much crap in my tent, it's going to take a freaking hurricane wind to move it.
Or somebody fill it up with helium, You wake up floating above Chicago.
Look, it's a hot air balloon too. Hey, there's an idea. Let's fill it up with helium. See what happens.
Oh. They are awesome. They are awesome. Yeah, I've seen those. And I wondered about that because I do not like.
Hold on. So John has one.
Yeah.
John, do you have one?
Yes, they are awesome. Well, maybe he saw what I'm talking about.
Because you know what I'm going to do? We'll send John likes going out for long walkabouts in the woods. So John will go out on his walkabout. We'll take all the air out of his tent. We'll replace it with helium. So as John's doing his walkabout, he can see his tent fly overhead.
Yeah. But that's one of the things I never did like about camping was setting up a tent, because I don't care what kind of tent you got and how easy the instructions are. It's always a pain in the butt to set one up. And with this inflatable deal, I mean, you just like unroll it on the ground, you hook up the little air pump thing, and even some of them come with an electric air pump. You plug it into your car cigarette lighter or something, and then 5 minutes or 10 minutes later, poof, you have your own inflatable cabin. And
right.
Awesome.
Thanks, Steve. Hey, there goes my tent.
Oh.
But now, just on an offside note, I found it quite funny because we were talking. I mentioned helium.
Oh, these comments are killing me. Go
ahead. So I noticed that Germany has been discussing about using hydrogen for energy.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Remember the last craft that they filled up with hydrogen? That frickin' blew up over New Jersey? Called the Hindenburg, for God's sake. Did they not learn their lesson?
Well, that certainly was a nice application for hydrogen.
And you know what? I'm half German, so for the people that think I'm being racist against Germans, I'm half German.
Germany, we love you too.
We do. We do.
Absolutely.
We do.
But yeah, hydrogen. Okay, gonna save the world. You know, when I was in, I think about 6th grade, which has been a few days ago, they were telling me hydrogen cars are 10 years away. In the next 10 years, we're all going to be driving hydrogen cars. Okay. 10 years later, they were 10 years away again.
Well, you know why? There was no interest because all their research got shot down by the petroleum industry. They actually had a guy, I remember watching this on the news, the guy would put water in his car. Like, oops, sorry about that. Put water in his car and it would run. It was running on water because it was converting the hydrogen.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So who the hell cares if I got to stop every couple 100 miles and fill a tank with water? It's free most of the places. Right?
Yeah.
You can top off at a rest stop. Here, let me go to the water fountain. So
that would be cool,
but the problem is that things like that, if you've ever seen the movie Tucker, starring Jeff Bridges, that was based on a true story, and the petroleum industry, shut that whole thing down because.
Right. Or the car industry, they shut him down. Yeah.
Now there's mandates. They have to have so many, although it looks like the EV mandate's going to go by the dodo. Although, some of the electric vehicles they have out now are pretty cool. I wouldn't want to go on long distance trips with them.
Yeah.
Necessarily, but think about having an extra, and the other problem is the price is all out of the roof, and I know Tesla's trying to bring the price down of their vehicles, as is Ford, but I've been in them, and some of them are like technological wonders, like Tesla.
I love electric cars, man. I would love to own one, but unfortunately, I could buy another home for what the price of one is now. So that's not going to happen. But
right.
Maybe one of these days, I'll be able to get me a 10-year-old something.
Yep. So that would be kind of fun to have, but not to burn gas for it. But the only reason why I think I would own a Tesla is because it could self-drive.
Oh, yeah.
Pop in there and take me to the price chopper. Off it goes.
Well, that's cool.
But yes, so that is pretty much it for a lot of stuff. Like I said, those years building up in that particular area were really amazing. And then, we've had other forays in 2013 in Vermont. We had, the FLIR footage or the FLIR pictures. Right. And then in 2015, we had this really strange vocalization, which was coming from the New York side. And strangely, at the same time, my buddy Frank was interviewing a guy that on the other side of the river that was having Sasquatch issues on his property. So that kind of all matched up. And I didn't find out till 2016. Well, you know what I say to that, Mary? Mary says electric cars don't do well in the floods. You know what I say to that? It's shocking. Anyway,
oh man.
But it's been a very very interesting couple of months in the cryptid world. Now we're starting to see videos come out. Of course, we did that whole series on that alleged trail cam photo. That was, we can put that one to rest now. Pretty sure.
Yeah.
Too many red flags. There was another one that got submitted to me. That was the Voyager video, and I looked at it and I go, well, that might be kind of cool to talk about, but it's so flippin' obvious it's not a Bigfoot. If anybody brings it up, it's like, that's not a Bigfoot. Come on. let's think about it. It doesn't really even need to be debunked because it doesn't even look like a Bigfoot. The other, there's a few user submitted stuff, that I'm looking at, and it's interesting, but I don't, I don't want to call it necessarily pareidolia because unless they've actually seen what they're photographing. So I'd rather not get into, putting that kind of stuff out in the public. I think those are pictures that may be best circulated amongst other researchers and not public. I'm very, very stern about that. Like if I get a picture that's kind of questionable, like even the eye shine pictures, the reason why the eye shine pictures came out was the only reason why they came out because there was so much other corroborative evidence that was going on around it. Right. If I get a one-off though, like those eye shine pics, I couldn't bust those out day one saying, hey, look, we got eye shine pictures, because there was really not enough corroborative evidence around it. Yes, we were hearing things walking around, but then you add years after that happening, and years, and then when you put it together as part of a case file, now you have something a little more substantial. And people say, well, that's not the scientific method. No, it's not. It's the investigative method. And my job is to present a case, not necessarily present evidence. And, I look at the is it evidence to me? It is. It's kind of corroborative evidence, but it's not, anything that's going to, basically put the knife, or put the, the knife into the balloon, to burst it open and say, hey, this is, this is a Sasquatch. It's going to take a lot of corroboration.
Well, Steve, let me ask you a few questions since we've got a little time left here. Mm-hmm. Now, for a brand new researcher, somebody that's just getting out in the field and that may be in that area of the Adirondacks, could you give me some suggestions of how they could get started? I mean, what should they do? Should they start out going during the daytime, during the nighttime, things like that?
Start off, well, I always say, number one, go into the forest with being equipped properly. Have a compass, not just your GPS, not just your phone, because in a lot of these areas, your phone's not going to work, which means your GPS on your phone's not going to work because they work together with the web and even in some places, I've had a Garmin GPS that just didn't plain work because it's so mountainous that you're not going to get the satellites.
Couldn't get a satellite signal.
So always have a good topo map, have a compass. When you get out of your car, before you step into those woods, take a compass reading so you know what direction to follow to get back to at least the road. Right, that's huge. When you go into the woods, day or night, bring an emergency blanket with you. Bring you some source of fire. There's a lot of people that don't smoke that go hiking. They don't bring flame into the woods. Bring a lighter. Own a lighter. A Zippo is the best. You fill it up before you go into the woods. It's guaranteed to work. It's windproof. You may have to cover it, but it'll work in high wind conditions, and that's important.
Yeah. If something happens and you get lost, you're going to want to be able to build a fire out there if you got to spend the night.
And you're going to want to have an emergency blanket to keep warm.
Right.
So you have that. Carry a knife, carry bear spray. This bear spray isn't just for bears. You can keep a pack of coyotes that approaches you off the, because once that capsaicin gets in their noses and their eyes, they're pretty much useless. So you want to carry bear spray, have bear spray as well. Make sure when you go into especially a state trail, you can say a map protector. It's not a necessity. For years I kept, the funny thing is I had a map protector and I lost my maps because I was in a map protector and it fell out. I just fold up a map and stick it in a duffel bag or, my backpack, and it's fine. A map protector though will be good if it rains. So know where you're going, have a good topo map. good pair of shoes. You want boot socks on. You don't want to wear low-cut socks or anything like that. You want to have boot socks on. You want to go in wearing pants, not shorts. You want to make sure you have some bug spray with you too, as well. If that's, and possibly even sunscreen, because you can get yourself sunburned pretty good too if you go out in open areas. Carry some rations in there. Carry some food, some freeze-dried food. Carry a couple of meals with you. MREs are great. I recommend those because you can eat those cold, right? Some of the ones you get in the stores nowadays, survival food, you can't eat cold. You have to add water to them and reconstitute them. Whereas an MRE, usually you can eat right out. And if you get like the potato, which, they say add water to it, you can eat that as a potato wafer.
Like a big thick chip. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, those are cool.
Right. So bring MREs. Myself, I bring in a few cans of, Vienna sausage. It's disgusting. You may not like it, but it's emergency food. So if you're out there in the woods and you need a quick source of fat and protein, you have it right there in that can. Bang, 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 bang. Good. Right.
When you've been lost in the woods for a couple of days, a can of Vienna sausages looks pretty good.
Right. Correct.
So what do you think? They should start off with a daytime trip? Or
yes, absolutely. Start out in the daytime. Start out easy. Get to know the area. Then once you start knowing that area, because I'll tell you what, there were times in 2004, 2005, I would get into my area, and at nighttime, I could get turned around and say, where the hell am I? Or say you hear something and you go off into the woods and you're not paying attention because you're following that noise. And then you turn around and go, where am I?
So it'd be a good idea to plan your hike. Like use a map and plan your hike. Well, I'm going to hike to this area. And once I get here, I'm going to turn around or do some investigation. Then I'm going to turn around and head back to the car.
Right. And this is for beginners, guys, not for those advanced guys. You don't need all the frills. I didn't have a map protector for years. In fact, to this day, I don't use a map protector because I lost my maps that were in the map protector. I actually think we found them. Like a couple of years later, we found them. That's why I don't necessarily use map protectors per se anymore.
Steve, MREs are great. Oh, except the chicken a la king. It tastes like Squatch food. Okay.
My suggestion is get the spaghetti and meatballs MRE. That was pretty tasty. Or the Salisbury steak one. That's pretty good too. No, Bill, you don't need a protractor. It's not advanced 101. This is for somebody that's just starting out.
Finding the trackway. Yeah. Dog biscuits. A box of those got me through the desert and they last forever.
There is a funny video out there of an older woman eating a cookie, and it's actually one of those dog treat cookies.
Yeah. Well, after a couple of days, a dog biscuit would probably look pretty good.
Yep. Yeah. And another fine thing is, or bring in a pack of beef jerky.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you what, though, beef jerky is going to increase your thirst because of the salt in it. Just remember that. So, make sure you bring it. Make sure you bring in plenty of water. Like,
True.
This is for a person just hiking in for the trip. Bring in instead of, like I said, beef jerky may be a bad idea because of the high sodium content. It's going to make you it's going to make you thirsty. So if you have the ability to get yourself a Camelback type of backpack, which Camelback has a water pouch in it, you can drink out of that. That would be fine too.
Well, Pat's comment about to bring some toilet tissue is not a bad one, but if you bring the MREs, now I don't know about the new ones, but the old ones used to have a small pack of toilet tissue.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to bring in a small packet of like towelettes or whatever, or wet naps or whatever. Yeah, wet naps will work just fine too. Helps take care of Klingons. So yeah, I would definitely
using the wrong leaf. Yeah.
Make sure you wear a hat.
Oh, that's a good idea. Especially, you know, you're challenged.
You're follically challenged like Chris and I. And but a hat would be great because it keeps bugs out of your ear. It keeps bugs out of your heads. You know, it gives you less of an attack area for black flies.
Nick, this is a good one. Learn what poison ivy and poison oak look like.
That way, you don't end up like my Uncle Luigi using it for toilet paper because he forgot to bring toilet paper.
Oh wow. Yeah, and it wouldn't be a bad idea to learn what sumac looks like too. I don't know. Do you guys have sumac in?
Of course. Hey, you know what? If we have anything bad, it's in New York.
There you go. There you go.
Oh, do you have alligators? Yeah, we got alligator sewers in New York City.
So to start off, be well prepared. Go during the daytime. And what about selecting an area? Would you want to look at maybe the BFRO site and look for?
Well, then again, you got to be careful because you may have a sighting report in an area. It's private property. You may have a sighting report area that's in a state park or a national park, but they're pretty rough terrain, right? So my suggestion is start by integrating yourself with nature first.
Yeah.
Take some walks in the state parks. They're very well mapped out. They have trail markers. They have maps available. They have, and spend some time. Do that. Start out your first season in the woods.
Right.
And learn where the Bigfoot sightings are. But don't go out until you know the woods. Right. You know, and then when you go out in the woods, right, then you start going out at night. And even you can find yourself a nice remote road in a country area. Just pull off to the side of the road, roll down the window, and listen. Listen to the animals. Listen to the sound. Listen to the cadence of the forest. You don't know how many times Sasquatch sightings are preceded by a change in the cadence of the forest. Right? You go into the forest, and all of a sudden you're like now I go to my area. I can walk out into that area and go, when somebody's not hitting a lighter.
Sorry.
I hear a lighter. No, I go out. I'm starting to fire. I go out in the forest and I go, something's really different here because I know the cadence of that particular forest.
Yeah.
But you will learn the cadence of areas that you know, and you'll learn natural cadences. Like I can walk in any area and go, okay, I hear the sounds. Okay, I know what's going on normally.
Yeah.
And it's always preceded by this dead silence. And all of a sudden the cadence is off.
Right.
Or if it's not silence, there seems to be a flurry. Coyotes yipping and yapping wildly. Birds doing their thing wildly. Birds that don't normally squawk at night are squawking at night.
Right.
Things like that.
Well, that's certainly something to pay attention to.
Right.
If you're walking along through the woods, through nature, enjoying yourself, and you hear the bugs making a racket, you hear the birds tweeting happily, and then all of a sudden they go quiet, something's wrong. You know, something's up somewhere.
Yeah. Now I remember, and knowing forest animals is one thing, and one animal I was not used to dealing with was a mink.
Mink?
A mink.
Yeah.
And I was up on Frank's property one time. We were doing a Vermont trail cam investigation. And I remember I said, well, they're he was bragging he shot a mink today.
Mm-hmm.
Because Frank used to be a hunter, but every once in a while we'll see an animal and minks. He's worried about the minks destroying, his fish pond and whatever and stuff. So he capped a mink. And we were out deep into the woods behind his house, luscious, butted against the Green Mountains.
Yeah.
And here we are in this very dense type of forest. And it is late in the year, but it's still dense because it's, it's Vermont. It's got a lot of pine and evergreen. And all of a sudden somebody says, I see eye shine right over there. And I look. And all of a sudden the eye shine seems to corkscrew up the tree.
Okay.
And I'm like, I know what this is. And I get my flashlight out. I shine it right there, and looking down at me was another friggin' mink. And I was like, I get right on the radio. I go, hey, Frank. He's like, yeah? I go, you didn't get rid of all the minks. So yeah, you got to know your animals. And, the minute I looked at it, I was like, yeah, that's the eyes. The eyes are too small and they're too set up together. Right. It was kind of fun to watch a corkscrew.
Yeah. Well, I think that's another worthy piece of advice for somebody that's going to be going out into that area, checking things out. If you're from the big city, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. We were all born and raised somewhere, but if you're from the city, you've not had a lot of exposure to animal sounds in nature, maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to listen to some online, so you can get familiar with what kind of animal sounds are in that area.
And for those who don't know, at squatchdetective.com, in our Squatch-D University, we have a whole audio page chock filled with animal sounds: squirrel, raccoons, foxes, wildcat, stuff like that. Learn them, know them. Birds, owls.
Yeah, pay attention to the barred owl calls. You'll probably hear a lot of those, and those kind of sound spooky. When you're out in the woods by yourself at night and you hear one of those things, some people might be thinking. Yeah. Screech owls. Oh,
well, yeah, you've heard that. In fact, that was. Hey, you want to hear a screech owl? We can play that one right now.
We got one playing. Yeah.
So this was a conversation between something that was howling, which we don't know what it is, and a screech owl. So there you have it. There is, and that very high, real pitch you hear.
Well, yeah, that's not the one I was thinking about. I was thinking about the really shrill eek. I mean,
that actually is an eastern screech owl, right?
Yeah.
So, but we don't know what that howl is, and truthfully, it's you could hear at least with the naked ear, because in actuality the recorder was a little farther out from the source of the howling than we were. We were closer to the howling than the recorder was. Yeah. And you could pick up a lot of that's why you could hear the fire and some snapping.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Pat Collins says foxes make crazy noises. Yes, they do. They can sound like a woman screaming. They can sound like a baby crying. So many weird, scary things, A
lot of they shriek. They shriek like a screaming woman. As do cougars and cats. And if you've heard two lynxes or two bobcats go at it, they sound like that's what they sound like. And now my office assistant is looking at me going, "What the hell did you just say?" I didn't do it really.
Oh no. Just say no.
No.
Just say no. Yeah.
No. Why would you want to impair your
senses, your cognitive senses? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You wouldn't want to impair your cognitive senses or impair yourself. Not only is that dangerous, because putting yourself on those kind of intoxicants and basically being out of control of your body, perhaps at times.
Right.
You're in the woods. That's dangerous. And, if anybody, especially like PCP, there was a video I watched the other day of this officer involved shooting where this guy calls this officer because his ex-girlfriend has his motorcycle in his garage, and he's got the order for his bike or whatever it is, and he's got the ownership paper there, but the girlfriend has blocked the garage off with her vehicle, so he can't get it out of the garage. And he called the police, and when the police officer says, well, it kind of sounds like this may be a civil thing, he kept getting angrier and angrier, and then he started going out of control, like really weirdly, saying, "Oh, you're racist, and you're gonna pay me," and he was acting really out of control. And eventually, he attacked the police officer, and the guy ended up getting shot and passed away. And when they checked his blood work, he had PCP on him.
Right.
He had a dose of PCP. And that's why he was so strong. He was a little guy, but he was almost as stronger than the cop, who was bigger than him.
Yeah. They know.
Yeah. I don't want to put anything in my body that is a chemical, processed. So I just wouldn't do it. And like I said, when I drink, I'm home. I rarely, people will see me once in a while, especially if I'm in a situation where, I'm in a hotel situation, I'm at a hotel and I'm, at the venue, and the hotel's in the venue. People will see me drink once in a while, right? Never to where I'm sloppy and out of control. And that's because I just need to go to my room and boom, I'm done. But there are times like if I'm out and about and I have to drive somewhere, I do not drink. And if I drink when I'm out, I have one drink, maybe two, and then I allow myself 2 hours for each drink I've had not to have a drink. So if I drink 2 drinks, I'm waiting 4 hours before I even get in the vehicle. And, and that's just my rule of thumb. I mean, I'm actually giving it an hour more for each, and I just won't do it. Normally, I won't even drink when I'm out.
Yeah.
Or unless I can tag out in a driver. I just look at the Eagles beat the Cowboys 34-6. I see the Cowboys win streak is continuing.
Grasshopper says shrooms in the woods. That's another story. Well, yeah, make sure you know what kind of mushroom you're eating before you eat one. Yeah. Identify edible and non-edible food or plants in the area you'll be going to.
If I see a strawberry, maybe. If I see a blueberry or a blackberry, okay, yeah. But if I see anything that could potentially kill me, I'm not touching that. And that's what I would suggest to everybody else until they learn.
No, exactly.
Yeah. And I don't have enough skill to tell you which mushrooms are good to eat and which ones aren't. I wouldn't even try it.
Well, I know some. I know some. Yeah. But there's a couple that, well, not more than a couple. There's some that look like others that are good to eat. But those look like poisonous varieties, and so it's best just not to take the chance.
And Nick says, Chris, I think he meant magic mushrooms, but
well, yeah. Well, you want to be careful.
Again, do you want to be in the forest? Right. Remember, no matter how scary, and this is the issue I have, is that we get very confident in our abilities, and okay, I've been out in the woods all these years. So what? I'm going to bend the rules a little bit. I'm going to lose control of my body for a little bit. But you know what? I know these woods pretty good. I'm good to be. No, that doesn't work. No matter how, where do we see failures of people is when they do things they shouldn't be doing because they're an expert or really good at what they do. I just watched another video the other day about this guy who he went through this fire tunnel, and it was this big stunt, and he completed it, did it really good.
Oh, no.
I would. Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, no.
Because I know their behavior. I'm not worried about it. I've been, I guess I can say I've been around a lot of them in my day for lucky as I've been to know that I'm pretty confident they're not going to do nothing, but I'm not doing anything to provoke them to harm me. So, again, we're still staying in that safety range. Always want to stay in that safety range. But this guy went through this tunnel, this fire tunnel, and they built a metal cage, and they had hay on both sides, which was soaked with kerosene. They lit it up, and there was planks on top of it with hay on top. So they lit this fire tunnel, and he drove through the fire tunnel. He did a successful run through the fire tunnel. Everybody was like, yeah, it was some kind of record or whatever. And people were like cheering. And what does he decide to do? I'm going to do it again. And he turns around and he goes through that tunnel again. But by that time, the temperature in the tunnel was over 1,500 degrees. And what ends up happening is something happens with his bike. And he crashes into the sidewall. And the next time they see him is emblazoned in fire, walking out, totally ablaze, and then collapsing.
Yeah, that's not good.
Right. So that's right, Grass, and Ace Bandage won't have that situation. So that's just a word to the wise. No matter how good you were at something, don't break protocol. Don't go out of bounds. Be safe. Be smart.
Yeah.
And that way, because at the end of the day, like Malone says in The Untouchables to Elliot Ness, at the end of the day, if you've gone home alive, at the end of the day, you've had a good shift.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. If nobody gets hurt, nobody dies, nobody, that is the most important thing you can do. Chris, it is almost 2 minutes to 11. Take us out, brother.
Yeah, man, it's been fun. This went by pretty quick. I've had a great time hanging out with you guys. Thank y'all for hanging out with us on Sunday nights. We really appreciate you guys. We know that you are the greatest audience we could ever hope for, and we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. If it's your first time watching, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, the thumbs up button on the video. If you haven't already, smash it on the way out, okay? For you guys listening over on the podcast, come on over, view the YouTube channel, check out some of these pictures on these videos you've been missing. You don't want to miss those. But thank you so much. I just can't say enough. Thank you. Thank you.
Right. And Danny, we did an extra hour and a half on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't want to set that kind of goal up every show. We'll do a goal show maybe once a month. I don't want to act like I'm trying to fleece anybody or pander to anybody or do any of that stuff. You know how the Bigfoot community can be is, Kulls is asking for money on every show and he's nothing but a grifter. Okay. But again, we're just doing, what other YouTubers are doing nowadays. And we thank you all for making us reach that goal this week and a little then some. That's why we gave you a little bit even more over the hour the other night. So we were happy to do that. And we had a great conversation as we did tonight. But tomorrow is Monday.
Yay!
Wait. Tomorrow is Monday. We all know how to be Mondays. That's another thing I got to talk to StreamYard about is killing that loop. That loop is annoying. That's why they played twice, not only once.
Well, Mondays are good. The Mondays are good.
Well, yeah, they are if you don't work Monday.
Yes, but you got to have the end to the weekend. And at one point in time, back when I was a younger man, 17 years old, in line at the bank, going to cash my paycheck, an elderly gentleman behind me said, "I bet you wish every day was Friday, don't you?" I said, "That's right, man. I get paid every day. I wish every day was Friday." He said, "No, you don't. If every day was Friday, you wouldn't have a weekend."
Very true. Very true. Yeah, I know I used to hate Mondays because, that would be the start of the work week. And I worked Monday through Thursday for 10 hours a day. And it's like, But that's all going to change now. I'm working a different shift. But we may, just so y'all know, that we may be changing our show dates up a little bit. I'm almost certain that our Friday night show is going to be eliminated because of this job. For now, anyway, for the interim.
And Veterans Day tomorrow. Veterans, we salute you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you.
All veterans. Remember, Memorial Day is for our deceased veterans. Veterans Day is for our living, breathing veterans. Just remember that. So let's, see a veteran tomorrow, shake their hand, thank them. And because if it wasn't for them, we would not be doing what we do. So that's very important. So anyway, again, thanks, folks. We love you all. We will not be here this Wednesday night. That much I can say. If we come up with a show any earlier or any later in the week, we will let you know. But tentatively, we're only going to do one show this week when we will be back next Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Tentatively. I'm not sure what's going to happen. We may decide that we may pull off a Tuesday show. I don't know. I haven't talked to Chris about that yet. But for now, Wednesday won't be happening. And, Friday likely will not be happening. It'll be back to Sundays for now. And then we'll get, once we get into the rhythm of things, we can pull off a more regular schedule. But sometimes, like I said, life happens. It's been a very difficult 9 months. I've been out of work, 10 months, whatever it's been, 8 months. Definitely changing up from getting paid every other week to once a month. And not as much as you were making when you were getting paid, twice a week. So it's been a bouncy ride, but I'm glad to be getting back into the throw of things with a new job, a little less cumbersome for my neck and my back, and a little more money. So I'm a little excited about that. Not much, but a little bit. So, and we'll see where that all feathers out in the next few days. So anyway, on behalf of me and Chris, we love you guys. We will see you all later this week with any announcements. I'll probably be dropping a video for the membership here within the next few days. So everybody have a great night, and we'll catch you all real soon. Love you guys. Peace out.
We thank you for being here with us on Squatch-D TV. If you haven't taken the time yet, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And oh yes, hit that notification bell too. We don't want you to miss anything. If you really like our content, you should consider becoming a member. And it's really inexpensive and a great way to support not only the show, but honest Bigfoot research. Everyone have a great week. Be safe and God bless. We will see you all here next time on Squatch-D TV. Keep on squatching.